Today, here I am to share with you the 5 tips which I have practically used in my reading so as to increase my reading speed. I have personally felt that these 5 tips were the one who actually made reading way more easier for me. Well, these are applicable both for paperbacks and ebooks, and the last tip will be the most important one. So make sure you're sticking it to the till the end of the Hello everyone, thanks so much for watching ATP that is Among the Pages, where I talk about the books and the content written among their pages. Well, if you are for the first time here, then this is Achut Murari, and I'm a medical from Osmania Medical College, plus a poet, plus a booktuber, and I talk about the books only because of my passion. Before you proceed to read any sort of the book, I would highly recommend you to be actually finding your reading speed currently. There are plenty of websites which are available online which would actually calculate your reading speed. Well, my reading speed used to be 260 to 270 words per minute. Well, now it has increased from 270 to almost 380 to 400 words per minute, but I still am trying with this. The first tip which I'll be sharing is use a pencil or a pen when you're reading your book. If at all you are lucky enough to be having a paperback book, I'm using Eragon as an example for today. This has been the most lovely book I have ever read. So if at all you're reading a book, try if at all I have opened this page, try to just use this pencil so as to you can go throughout your lines. And I personally do not go throughout the lines like this. Rather, I just put the pencil at the end of the line, stating that which line I'm trying to read. And further moving, and I'll be just trying to move my pencil in this manner so that I can actually find out which line I am reading, and my eyes would not move or just get distracted with the whole sum of the text which are being pushed into the small page and is being provided to us. So I pretty much use this method of actually using this pencil, and rather than just going through all the words and reading like this, I just put this thing here in this side and I just read it this way. 1, 2, 3. So I just do not move my pencil anywhere. I hope you're able to see that. If it also, I'm sorry. The second tip which I'm gonna say you is try to keep your concentration on the book rather than on the distracting things which are around you. Reading always has been the most toughest thing humans have found. You need immense amount of concentration to actually put your mind in the way of reading and try to absorb the things which you are actually trying to move through your eyes and process it in your mind and get that content in your mind. So it plenty much takes a lot of efforts to actually read. So I would highly suggest you to actually put most of your concentration on the book which you are reading. Well, all these tips are for reading books such as novels and any other business books or so, but these are not for academics. For academics, I highly recommend you to kindly read it as slow as possible so that you can actually absorb the most of the content. Well, all these tips are for books which are novels or any sort of business books which are not of your academics. Well, so I highly recommend you to be actually concentrating, and if at all you are reading a fiction book, I'm a personally a fiction lover, and the major problem which I face while reading fiction books is I pretty much forget the names of the characters. I pretty much remember their attitude, I pretty much remember their character development, but unfortunately I completely fail to remember the character name. The protagonist and the is okay, but there are some certain small characters which just come and just go away, but they play a pivotal role in the book. So I personally note down or jot down all the names of the characters which I have come across, and in a notebook or in a paper, and I just put the paper in my book, or I just put it a separate notebook and I try to maintain that. So I just write the name of the character. Suppose if at all in this Eragon book the protagonist is Eragon, obviously. So I just write Eragon on a notebook and I just put a slash and I say protagonist. And if at all there's any other character, suppose there's this character in the Da Vinci's Code, there's character of Lee Tebing. So if at all, if that character is there, you can just write Lee Tebing, and he's the rich person, a Cheeto, he owns a Cheeto and all that. Or else there's this character called Remy who is actually a manservant of Tebing. So you can just write that name. He's a manservant. He works in under Tebing. So all these writing the names of characters in a paper, and whenever you are coming across this name of the character and you pretty much do not remember the name or the character's development, then you try to just open the page and you can actually recollect the whole thing which you have read way in the beginning of the book, because most of the fiction books tend to actually introduce a character and that's it. When the character introduction is being done, you try to get at least 95% of the information there itself, and you are not going to get elaborate information furthermore. You try to understand the mentality of the character now, but the character's physical appearance and the abilities the characters have is what is being jotted down in the beginning of the character introduction itself. So whenever the character is introduced, a new name is coming across you, then I highly recommend you to be actually jotting those things, and so that you can remember them permanently. And this is the most important point for book lovers, because you can actually relate to those characters in your life. Well, if you are reading non-fiction books, then the most important point is you need to annotate the book. You see, non-fiction books tend to be having a lot of information than we usually expect. It is not something a general read. You just flip through the pages and just move away. There's a lot of content which you need to actually put it in your head and just think about them, implement them in your life. So I highly recommend you to be actually taking down the notes of whatever important point you have found in the non-fiction books. Don't write whole paragraphs. This is the most important thing. Please do not write the whole paragraph. Just read the paragraph, then understand it, then write the information or the meaning in your own words. Moving on to tip 3. Well, practically many of us these days read ebooks. If at all you're having a book in the form of a PDF or in a form of Amazon eKindle, then I highly recommend you to be actually reading the book in a portrait mode rather than in landscape mode. We watch YouTube videos in a landscape mode, but we do not use Instagram in that way. So in the same way we use Instagram, I also recommend you to be reading the novels or the ebooks in form of portrait mode. That is in this manner, but not this. If at all you are reading the ebook in this manner, you see there is a smaller length here, because of which your eye movement is something which is getting restricted, so only to this area, so that you can actually glance and the more area. But if at all you're reading the book in this manner, you need to cover a lot of distance from here to here, and then coming again back to here and here, reading in this way. So you're actually wasting your eye movement from here to here. In this time from here to here, you can actually complete one more line. So you're actually reducing your speed to half. So if at all you're reading the book in this manner, in a portrait manner, I have personally found it increases your speed almost 3/4. Not at all, not double, but it pretty much prompts me to read more faster and grasp things way better, reading in a portrait mode rather than reading it in a landscape mode. All this is what I have experienced personally. So the tip number 4, which I use to actually increase my reading speed, is rather than reading the whole text from the beginning to the end, I pretty much use these lines. You can actually see them from this book. I hope you are able to watch that. See these lines? This, I just move my eyes only in this area, and all the words here in this aspect and all the words in this aspect are actually grasped by your eye, even if you're putting your eye beginning from this side. See, I'm pretty poor at animation and I do not have any sort of equipment to make animations or graphics, so I pretty much use what I have. Please bear with me. So begin your eye movement from here and try to read it till here itself. Only till here. Do not go till here. And when you're done with this line, when you actually read this way, you can observe that even when you go here, you're actually reading this word. And even when you're beginning it here, your mind is actually grasping the content here also. So pretty much you're decreasing the space. You're decreasing the space of reading. And this prompts you to actually grasp things way better. And also it decreases the rapid eye movement of your ciliary muscles and extraocular muscles, which pretty much makes your eyes less strained but read more. And this is what I have personally used. In the beginning, you see, I don't like you. Any book lover would never draw these lines on his book or his or her book and make it feel ugly. So imagine these lines. I have drawn these lines only for showing you. Please imagine these lines when you're trying to read. Just draw a dotted line. Imagine a dotted line and just read the space between those two lines, and this has increased my speed almost double. Number 5, and the last tip and the most important tip of all the 5 is, I have pretty much taken this as part A and part B, 5A and 5B. So tip number 5A says, please do not use your dictionary while you're reading. In the sense, if you're not understanding any vocabulary while you're trying to read, then don't pause the reading and open your dictionary from your mobile or physical one and try to search the word. Rather, just underline that. If you're reading an ebook, try to highlight that word and just move on. Well, again, at the end of the chapter, when you're done with the chapter or when you're done with the reading session of the day, words which you have underlined or just which you have highlighted in your ebook, then open the dictionary and just try to find the meanings of them and then immediately read the sentence again. In this way, you can actually enhance your vocabulary, and it pretty much ameliorates your thought process, usage of English words, and it pretty much is very useful in increasing your fluency in English. And the 5B, and the most important one of all, is please select the book which you like and which you are intrigued to read, but do not select the book which is forcibly recommended by someone or some other says that it's great. Do not tend to come into others' words. Select the book which you like. There are plenty of videos which say that they are book recommendations. I personally have given many book recommendations. Then you might get the doubt that why should I follow you? Why should I read the books which you have said, which are great? But you see, there are books which are loved by a majority of aspects. There are books which I personally love and many of people would not like, and there are books which I did not like and many of people have loved. So thou you are watching my recommendations of the winter reads or any other. You are watching many booktubing channels which speak about whole lot of 10 book recommendations, 20 book recommendations and all. Please, before you are actually picking the book, read the content, read the summary which is actually given behind the book. If you are actually intrigued by the summary which is given behind the book, and if you're saying, oh my god, if I'm not reading this, then I'm gonna die. If this is a feeling which is being sprouting in your mind, then this book is for you. Don't even think, just take the book. Take the book, start reading it immediately. Immediately, sense in immediately. That's it. So these were my 5 tips of actually increasing your reading speed, and these have personally helped me a lot. I still am we all still are learners. So each day I try to implement all these procedures into my reading so as to increase my reading speed, because I know reading takes a whole lot of concentration and inclination, which pretty people lack. So you see, readers are way beyond and way knowledgeable than people who do not read, and I claim that. So if you want to become a reader, please follow these 5 tips which were especially useful for me at least. And I hope I'm happy to share all these tips with you all, and hoping your reading speed has increased. And do not forget to comment your present reading speed in the comment section. And after following all these tips, come back to my video and again comment how much your reading speed has increased. So that would always encourage me that somehow I have helped at least one reading soul who was actually trying to read more but could not read because he did not know these tips. So if at all you're liking my way of explaining, reviewing, and sharing my opinions about the books, or books reviews or book summaries, then don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe my channel so that my wish of making all the world a reading world will always come true. So till the next video, bye bye.